Hey guys, how's it going? And happy Friday. I hope you're all doing good. And we definitely have some stuff that we're going to talk about tonight. And I hope we have a good time, both while we're live. And shout out to all of you who are watching on replays. So, Trump has just signed executive orders, and I did a video breaking that just a few hours ago. That was a quick summary video. So, if you just want a quick synopsis, go watch that. All the information's there. But I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into that and talk about the positives of this. And this is a positive thing. And I'll take victories wherever we can get. And then a few of my concerns and exactly how is this going to get implemented. Pam Bondi's going to come up and a whole lot more. Also, another topic that I'm just going to kind of broach tonight and raise public awareness for. And this has to do with the fact that, in my opinion, and many people's opinion, at least anyone's opinion who's smart and knows what's going on in Michigan, it appears to me, in my opinion, not being a lawyer, but here's the thing. Most of these bigwig lawyers just conflate everything, and sometimes the truth is like right under your nose and people need to know about it. But in my opinion, the governor of Michigan, has anyone heard of her? You remember with the election when Kamala was running against Trump? The governor of Michigan, she'd like to offer you communion. These are sick people. Don't ever forget that. And here's what this has always been about, and it always will be. We're in a battle of good versus evil. And there's lots of good people out there, and there's lots of evil people out there, including the governor of Michigan. These are not good-looking people, not on the inside, not on the outside, but it appears, in my opinion, she signed 85 dead bills into law. Not during last session, but during this session, well after the new year. I'm going to broach this topic with you, telling you right offhand, I don't have all the answers yet. This is shrouded in a bit of mystery. The news isn't talking about this, but I know some of you guys know there's something going on here. We're going to talk, and we're going to get into that as well before the stream's over tonight, including gun control bills that were signed into law. In my opinion, not on the up and up. Something's just not quite right here with this, and probably completely and utterly unconstitutional. So we'll get into that in a little bit. And you're going to see more follow-ups on this channel in the future because, again, this is convoluted, it's thick, but we're going to walk through it all together in just a little bit. In other words, I think 85 bills were signed into law that shouldn't have been. And maybe there's something that still can be done about it. There is going to be a call to action to have all of you getting a hold of your Michigan representatives and senators, especially the Republicans right now. We'll get into that. It's a spicy topic, and it's probably the first time they say this has happened for sure in the state of Michigan and probably anywhere in the whole country. And it's just completely, for the most part, going below the radar. Nobody wants to talk about it. The mainstream news won't talk about it. And it's making me wonder why. And I'm going to have another little video out talking about this in a little bit. Why won't the Michigan Senate or House of Representatives give me a media pass? I wonder if it's because they don't want me in there reporting on this. Lots of good Michigan reps and Michigan senators who have gone well above and beyond to try to get information out to this channel and to all of you. Don't get me wrong. But for some reason, they don't want to give me a media pass. I'm not the member of the media, but I'm going to be reporting on stuff that the media won't touch with a 10-foot pole. But before we get into all this, I want to thank all of you for the many ways you help support the channel. Thank you to all my channel members who I see in the chat. Shout out to all of you. You guys get some extra emojis, as well as I post bonus content for not only my YouTube channel members, but also for my Patreon supporters and over on my Locals. Now, Locals is a totally different site, censorship-free, where I do a bonus live stream every week, which is also broadcast to that sister site of Locals that rhymes with Fumble. I'm also over on X posting stuff that I can't and won't post here on YouTube as well as Myriad.social, which is not only censorship-free, but uncensorable because it's a newer social media site that is on the blockchain with no centralized servers, and it's kind of the way the internet should be. Check all of that and more down there in the description. Many ways you guys can help support the channel, including super chats while we're live here, which I will read all of those. And if you're watching on replay and you're like, yeah, dude, like, I know this guy can only afford to lose so much money with all the reporting he does and stuff coming up here to do these streams, you can leave a super thanks afterwards, which is the same as a super chat. And I really appreciate all of you in the many ways you like to do that. And another real quick thanks before we get right into this. Thank you to, he goes by Little Seven over on Locals. I think you watch over here too, has left me a couple cash apps within the past week, which all of that helps. You guys aren't getting an ad read. Like, I don't do that. I don't say brought to you by such and such insurance company. Boy, those gun insurance wars are sure getting spicy, aren't they? Yeah, you're not getting that here. And that's why this is a viewer funded channel. And I appreciate all of you. So, what should we get into first? The White House executive orders or the Michigan stuff? I think I'm going to get into the executive orders first. Then we'll get into the Michigan stuff when we get to it. And I will try to do a more concise video because I know people are already going to say, watching on replay, and shout out to the replay viewers, dude, it doesn't take 2 hours to do. No. This is a live stream. This is where we all hang out. I see awesome people in the chat, and we're going to have a conversation together about all of this. And I just put out like a 5-minute video concisely talking about what happened with the Trump executive orders, but I need to dig in deeper. And then also I want to broach this topic of these 85 bills, including draconian gun control, that probably shouldn't have been able to be signed by the governor. And we need to raise awareness to all of this. So, yeah, nice to see all of you. Look, we got Michelle LeDuc in the house. How's it going, Michelle? Colin L. We've got Jane Locke. We've got Dale, Denny, Richard Denny, Pillbox Bunker, Gort, Ego Riser. Wow. Lots of good people in the chat. And that's why I'm here. And nice to see all of you. Now, somebody said they want the Michigan stuff first, but I don't see anybody else really chiming in. So we'll go through a couple different things tonight. Hey, you guys don't have anywhere else better to be, do you? So you'll sit here and we'll all hang out and go over this together. So like I said in my video earlier, I was out there literally working on my truck. I come in here and my nose is still kind of like dripping. I was kind of like nasally sounding because I was out there and I think it was 20 degrees out, but like 20, 30 mile an hour winds on top of that. I got the repair I needed pretty much completely wrapped up on my truck. I'm going to take it for a final test drive tomorrow. It was a big repair. I'll do a supporters video telling you guys all about it. Some of you like the old truck videos and the 7.3 Power Stroke and my old stake truck. For some of you that don't, get yourself an old stake dump truck. You won't regret it. And Christy Turtel from the Heller Foundation, she's like, dude, like I just got out of a meeting with Elon Musk and this is happening like right now. So I ran in there. I'm like, I can't find it on the whitehouse.gov. She's like, yeah, because it hasn't been put out to the public yet. So I ran in and reported to you guys as quick as I can because it's nice to get a little bit of good news, isn't it, for once? And I am going to say this executive order from Trump is good news. Is it the end all be all? No, of course not. I don't think there's been any channel on YouTube that's called out Trump's BS on the Second Amendment as much as me. But I've also been completely fair and open-minded the whole time because Trump's done some bad stuff in the past. But I'm like, but I hope he can change. I hope he's changed. He is a populist, and hopefully enough of us have put enough positive peer pressure on him to get him to maybe, hopefully, somehow change his mind. And I said, I'm going to be super optimistic about his administration. And here we are. And I have to, if I'm calling balls and strikes, as the old saying goes, not like Chief Justice Roberts does. He doesn't call balls and strikes. He's made terrible votes in the U.S. Supreme Court. But no, in a real life, like balls and strikes manner, you got to call a spade a spade. This is a good thing. Do I think Trump can do more than this? Yes. Does he need to do more than this? Yes. And I'm keeping both eyes on him the whole time, which we should always do. Look, if you consider someone an enemy politically, if you just don't like them otherwise, you have to keep a very close eye on your enemies. But you also have to keep a close eye on people you do like. Because, hey, all kinds of people, especially in politics, can betray you in the end. So look, if they're your friends, keep them close. Maybe you keep your enemies even a little closer than that. But even if you're a fan, you still got to watch these people. And I'm watching Trump more than ever. Because at the end of the day, it's up to us to preserve our natural right to keep and bear arms. The Second Amendment was put there for we the people. It was put there as a prohibition on government. And we all need to remember that. So this is an executive order basically directing the Attorney General, which is Pam Bondi, to go through and find a bunch of information out for him. That's technically literally what it does. And for a second there, I'm like, well, wait a minute. And then I thought about it for a minute, and I'm like, no, this actually probably is the way it needs to work. Now, let me back up from all of this, because this is the most important part. Here's the way it needs to work. In a constitutional, representative republic, because that's what the United States is. The United States is not a democracy. A democracy is two wolves voting against one sheep on what's for dinner. No, we're a republic. A constitutional republic, meaning the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. And the second time the Constitution was amended, very simple, very beautiful, a well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That's it. End of story. We shouldn't be talking about this. There should be no 2A EDU channel. An executive order, we shouldn't need to have a 2A EDU channel, right? Like, we should be out there just working on our pickup trucks and hanging out in nature and fishing and whatever. That's the problem. Too many people have been out fishing and watching football and doing all this stuff and haven't been keeping track. That is actually the problem. But we should be able to do that and not even talk about this. But it's like I said earlier, it's a battle of good versus evil. And there's evil among us. And these people hate the Constitution. They hate the Second Amendment. They hate America. And they hate the whole Bill of Rights. Because the Second Amendment was put there not for if, but for when they come for all the rest. And they are coming for all the rest. So let me say that point blank. Should Trump be writing these executive orders? No, because there shouldn't have been anything for him to have to write them about. But as I also say, so we can talk about reality, because, hey, we find ourselves in the shape we're in. But here we are. This is a good start for the Trump administration. I got to say it. I want him to do more, but heck, he's only been in office for what, like a couple weeks? So let's see here. So it's starting off the purpose, and I do like the purpose because this is the official messaging from the desk of the White House signed by the President of the United States. And it says, the Second Amendment is an indispensable safeguard of security and liberty. Hey, that's good, dude. Usually, like from politicians and the White House, it's like hunting and recreational shooting and all kinds of FUD stuff. No, they kind of nailed it. Necessary to the security of a free state, right? That's what the Second Amendment says. So it's an indispensable safeguard of security and liberty. It has preserved the right of the American people to protect ourselves, our families, and our freedoms since the founding of our great nation. All true. Because it is foundational to maintaining all other rights held by Americans, which we've been saying for how many years now? Like our whole life, right? The right to keep and bear arms must not be infringed. So far, that's good. Now the plan. Within 30 days of the date of this order, the Attorney General shall examine all orders, regulations, guidance, plans, international agreements. This is a good thing. I saw a comment where someone said the international agreements part kind of scared them a little bit. I hear you, but no, this is a good thing that they're examining this because we shouldn't have any international agreements with our constitutionally protected, natural, God-given right to keep and bear arms. International agreements and other actions of executive departments and agencies to assess any ongoing infringements of the Second Amendment rights of our citizens and present a proposed plan of action to the President through the Domestic Policy Advisor to protect the Second Amendment rights of all Americans. Okay. The Attorney General, Pam Bondi, and obviously her staff are going to be responsible for researching, compiling, and presenting all of this to the president. Now, at first, it's like, dude, why do we have to have a middleman? Why can't the president just unsign them? legally, the president could just sign executive orders nullifying all of these different things that the previous former vice president did and all these other ones. This has been going on for a long, long time. But here's the problem. And this goes back to stuff you've heard on this channel ever since you've been watching it, right? We have over 20,000 federal gun control laws, CFRs, codified regulations, rules upon rules, interagency interpretations, public interpretations, private ones that the ATF's literally been busted, not even telling us about. So we're in such a convoluted state, and the Second Amendment's been infringed so badly that it's not as simple as like the president just signs an executive order to get rid of the thing. No. There's hundreds of things. There's thousands of things. This stuff is so deep. It's so intertwined between the deep state of the United States, the New World Order, whatever you want to call it. There's names for all this, many names. But look, this is not only going on in the U.S., but this is an international effort. This stuff that's going on in state levels. You look at the state of Michigan, which we're going to talk about before the stream's over tonight. You look at the United States. You look at the whole world. It's just all the same thing over and over again. And this has been written about long ago. This is good versus evil. And there's evil all over the place. This web is so complicated and so entangled. We find ourselves at a place right now where it's not just like he just signs like the thing. He actually has to go through and find all of it. That's literally how I'm reading this. And I know this is true because I've been reporting on all this stuff as it's been happening. A rule promulgated on another rule that's a reinterpretation of another rule. And look, Trump started some of this a few years ago himself. Okay? I'm optimistic he's seen the light. I'm optimistic he's going to do a good job. So far, he's been doing good. I'm watching him very closely. Please, all of you, we need to watch all these people closely. But if he's undoing stuff Biden did, if he's undoing stuff he did, stuff that Barack Hussein Obama did, like, look, everyone's like, why do you emphasize Hussein? Didn't anyone watch Rush Limbaugh, like, ever? I didn't watch him religiously, but like, if you ever watched him, you'd know the little inside joke. But anyways, so he's basically having her comb through the attorney general at all, because she has thousands of people that work under her. Hopefully Doge is going to do a good job and wean all that stuff out. And don't even get me started on Elon Musk. I have many concerns with him. But hopefully when it comes to this Doge, hopefully they're going to be working on this, thinning it out, okay? But she has to go through and look, her and her staff, to examine all orders. So these are previous executive orders, which we know there's many. Regulations, that's these CFRs, codified regulations, right? Look, all this stuff has full force and effective law somehow, even though it shouldn't. Like, I just want to go back to the Constitution for once. Like, something that literally an elementary schooler understands. Dude, you can take the average fourth grader. I'm serious. That's why children are so beautiful. And they're more pure still. You could go to a fourth grader and say, okay, what's this say? They would give you a more honest reading of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights than the courts would, than the Congress would, than pretty much almost any other president. This stuff was written for laymen to understand. This stuff was written in very common, easy language. But again, yet here we are where we have codes and rules upon codes. So these are the regulations, the guidances. Just keep in mind, that's what's called the little wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You're deep in the halls of the bureaucracy. These are unelected people making laws by fiat, all completely unconstitutional, but that's what's been going on for a long time, obviously. And they give them the wink, wink, and be like, yeah, why don't we just ignore some of this guns getting run over from Mexico and just make sure they get traffic just right through the cartels to get the so-called mass shootings up a little bit, to get this and that, and then we can really make our grab for semi-automatic firearms in the U.S. Why don't we focus more on that while not even bothering to close the borders outright and actually follow immigration law? See, they pick and choose. There's the stuff that they write down on paper, but then there's some of the nuanced stuff too, and that's when it gets really really, really deep. So there's these guidances. Some are official guidances on paper. Other of them are the good old wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We're going to make sure we take care of all this, which sometimes that stuff does come out publicly, and it's very disturbing when it does. Plans. So plans for stuff that they've got brewing up right now, which no doubt there's many plans going on in the deep state. Heck, the ATF just tried to make braces SBRs again, completely in contempt of court, of a couple federal circuit court of appeals courts, by the way. They just tried to do that a few weeks ago. So we know they're still brewing up stuff right now. And I believe the ATF and many other deep swamp bureaucrats are working against Trump as we speak every minute. And really what we should be worried about is working against the Constitution and working against we the people. So she's got to find all that. International agreements. Keep in mind the former vice president. Remember, I used to call him the current former vice president. I never called Biden president even once. Whenever someone would ask me, it always cracked me up. So it's like sometimes I get complicated questions and it takes me a minute to think about it. And those are good. But one of the most common questions I would get there for 4 years is to Edu, why do you call him the current former vice president? This is up until this January, obviously. And I'd be like, well, I call him the current former vice president because he is the current former vice president. But yeah, all of that stuff. He signed us on to the UN Small Arms Treaty, which this is the United Nations coming in to ban and potentially pick up and collect. That's what they want to do. All of your small arms. The United Nations trying to make gun laws in the United States. We've got the WEC. We've got the WHO, all of this stuff, making guns an international and national, and in many cases on the state level, making guns a health pandemic, epidemic, as we've seen promulgated as directed by laws passing in Michigan in the last 2 years under the Democrats, directing the MDHHS. So we're talking anywhere between the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services is coming after your guns. The United States Health Department coming after your guns. Surgeon General under the previous administration coming after your guns, including signing us on the international level to the UN Small Arms Treaty. So I'm actually very happy. And maybe someone disagrees with me. That's fine. I just wanted to explain it because I get it where when you first read international agreements, no, we want them to be looking into what international agreements we've signed on to then get rid of those, right? Because the purpose is the AG needs to find all of this, get it to him so he can remove us from, unsign, cancel out, whatever the appropriate formalities are to get rid of all this crap, right? And we are bound right now on paper, and Trump's unsigned a lot of it already just in the last couple of weeks with lots of international stuff. These are what's called the blue helmets. You guys familiar? It's not quite this color blue. They're not as fashionable as me. Trust me. But they're not quite as dark as that AAC box. It's just, it when you see it. It should have its own color in the Crayola box, actually. The blue helmet blue. It's a very specific color. Now, I like colors, but I don't like that color blue. That color they should just get rid of. You know what I mean? The baby blue, it's just you guys can chime in the chat. Some of you guys are experts, but it's all about this very particular blue colored helmet. And those are the ones that the United States signed on to under the past administration to come door to door and take your guns. Could you imagine that? They say that blue helmet's thick too. It's supposed to be state of the art. They say it's the best helmet. Some of you guys are more into gear than I am. Tell me how good that helmet really is, Mateo. Azure blue. Wow. Ooh, random guy chiming in, getting spicy. Yeah, man. Wow. Yeah, it's a particular blue, and they say that helmet's pretty thick. I don't know. They say once you see that helmet, just come out and put your hands up and lay your guns down. Some people even said you're real polite. Like, well, hold on, blue helmets. You boys look thirsty. I ain't going to resist. Just come in for a cup of coffee. Now, I ain't going to actually carry the guns out of my safe to your SWAT vehicle out there, your tank. But I will open the safe for you. No reason for you to waste any of your C4. Did you want cream and sugar in your coffee? I've literally had 2A supporters and gun owners say that to me. They're like, when the blue helmets come, make them coffee just right, not too hot, not too cold. Just, a little sugar and cream in there. Sugar and spice and everything nice. And I said, whoa, wait a minute. You'd help the blue helmet? I want to know what real Americans say about that. So chime in the chat. But no, this is a true story. Totally true story. One of my friends in here was there to actually hear it all. Okay? Wouldn't make this up. They said, well, look, dude, here's the thing. When you see the blue helmet, it's just not only the color of it, but it's the specific construction of it, and it's just so thick and it's so state-of-the-art that you basically just say, look, I ain't going to make it easy on you. I ain't going to carry it out to your tank for you to take it away, right? But I will make you some coffee because you look cold. Come in here and warm up around the fire, they said. And, be real polite and say, look, I'll open the safe for you because we know C4 is expensive, but I ain't going to carry it for you. I'm like, you're going to aid and abet the blue helmet? And they're like, no, I said, dude, I'm not going to carry them out to their car. But it's nice to offer a fellow a cup of coffee. And I'm thinking, what do you guys have to say about that? I say, hell no, for my cold dead hands shall not be infringed, is what I say. But I've been told, 2A EDU, you can't be so controversial. I'm like, dude, I'm like the least controversial there is. I literally held the door for an old lady earlier today. I'm nice. I like puppies, I mean, I don't even know what else to say, but like 2A EDU, you need to be a little bit more polite. Did anyone see my Lori Pohutsky post I put on here last night? Did anyone see that? It's on the YouTube post page. A couple of viewers came in and said, 2A EDU, there's no reason for you to go after her looks. I'm like, no, this is not a good looking person. She's past her prime. She's going downhill by the minute. But here's the thing. She gavelled our Second Amendment right off the table in the middle of the night. No, I'm not going to be nice. Look, I'll be nice to people who deserve to be nice. I'll be nice to people like Lori DeVries. Lori DeVries is a wonderful lady. I've met her in real life. Here, Lori, right here. It's a perfect example. Somebody I know well. I'm going to be nice to her. She's a nice person. I like Lori. Mateo's a nice guy. Not too nice, though. Hold on. He's a United States Marine. So chime in. United States Marine. He's actually not very nice, but I like him, though. He's not nice, okay, but I like him, so I'm going to be nice to him. For example, good people like this in the chat. But look, this Lori Pohutsky, this is not nice. And they said, 2A EDU, you need to be nice. I'm like, no, I don't need to be nice. Why would I want to be nice? She's gaveling our Second Amendment down the toilet in the middle of the night. But that's a put down to tell a woman that's hit the wall and is starting to whatever. I'm like, yeah, I know. But by the way, I'm not going to lie to my viewers. This is not a good looking person, not on the inside or the outside. And she's gone downhill a lot. Like she's gone downhill a lot in the last 2 years. Hey, I'm just here to report the truth, but that's okay because she was spayed and we won't get to see a little Lori Pohutsky running around. We won't get to see that. So I was very happy. All right. But like 2A EDU, you need to be more nice. Nice to the blue helmet? Nice to Lori Pohutsky? I don't want to be nice. Why do I want to be nice? It's never gotten us anywhere with these people. No, we need to be firm and put them in their place. Look, if I was trying to be really, really nice, I'd say, woman, get in the kitchen, make me a sandwich, like do something useful. I've got laundry that needs folded. But here's the thing. I have a beautiful woman at home, takes care of things very nicely in my house. My house is just fine. I wouldn't let that skank 100,000 foot from my house. But you know what I mean. If I wanted to be mean, I would have told her that. So I was actually being very, very polite. All right. My wife's a really good cook, by the way. Trust me. I don't know if it's because she's so darn cool or she's so smart or she's so pretty or because she cooks so darn good. I don't know why I picked her, but you know what I mean. It all plays. It's all important. Probably because she's nice and I like her so much. But being a good cook certainly didn't hurt anything. And she does laundry very well, too. Very well, which is nice. So they're going to go through to all of the executive departments, okay? Actions from all executive departments. So that means all this making guns a health pandemic, a health epidemic, right? That's good. The report's also going to include, let's see here, and agencies, all right, ongoing infringements, and present a proposed plan of action to the president through the domestic policy advisor. So I think that's how I'm looking at it. He actually has to find what all of this stuff is first, because it's that convoluted, and then he's going to get rid of it. Now, in developing such proposed plan of action, the Attorney General shall review at a minimum. Do you notice how that's worded? And I literally tried to put emphasis on that in my video earlier. The Attorney General shall. The Attorney General, ultimately, all these people work for us. And we need to remember that. We are the ones that are supposed to hold the ultimate power in this country. Read the 10th Amendment. And that's literally what it says. People have rights. Governments have delegated powers. The people are supposed to have the most power. We're the only ones that have rights. Governments don't have rights. Remember that. People have the most power in this country. Then the states, then the federal government, which would have very little, only the very specifically enumerated, which is fancy speak for meaning they literally wrote it down. Unless it was written down in the Constitution, the federal government ain't supposed to have it. So they all work for us. But under the hierarchy of the government, the Attorney General serves at the pleasure of the president. So when he says, hey, you shall do this, she's actually not allowed to tell him no. Getting back to Pam Bondi for just a minute, because that's the immediate thing people think about when they think about these executive orders. I don't trust Pam Bondi. Don't trust her as far as I can throw her. I don't trust any of these people on Capitol Hill, to make it crystal clear. I just have to report honestly to you guys, because I've called out Trump everything he's done wrong. I hope I don't have to be here calling him out because he does something terrible against the 2A again. I hope I don't have to, but I will. And I said, but if he does something good, I will. And this is a good first step. So I have to talk about it, and I want to talk about it. I'm excited about this too. Would have I written a better order? Probably yes, actually. You guys probably would have liked the one that I wrote better than what he wrote. It's true. But this is a big move, and it's way more than we've got from any other president ever. We've never had a president in the history of this country go back and say, I want to repeal all the infringements that my predecessors did. Pam Bondi, she's pro-red flag law. She's been pro-red flag law. She advocated for it in her legal capacity. She advocated for it to President Trump himself on national TV. Look it up on YouTube. The videos are all over the place. She also supported and legally argued for preventing people under 21 from buying firearms. This is someone I can't trust for the Second Amendment. Now, it's like everything in life. Has she redeemed herself? Has she saw the light? Has she changed her mind? Whether it's because she's a good person or because she's politically motivated. Look, this is all politics. Regardless of the reason, has she changed? I don't know. Okay? I don't know that she's changed. Do people really change in life? Not really. But somebody can sometimes see the light and change their views on a certain topic. Hopefully she does. Hopefully she has. I don't trust that she has, though. I'm really kind of actually pretty bummed out, and have been this whole time, that Trump even nominated her. You know what I'm saying, crazy heathen? What's happening, man? Speaking of good Michigan Second Amendment fighters. You know what I mean, crazy heathen? I know you know what I mean, dude. Like, look, I don't trust her, but I'm hoping she's going to do the right thing. Her boss just told her, you shall do this. She kind of has to. Does everyone do what they're told? No, she could try to circumvent. She could try to, but I don't want to put the cart before the horse too much. Her boss just told her she shall do it. But really, it's because Trump's boss told him he shall do it. I'm hoping that Trump's going to be good for the Second Amendment because he's here on a mandate from the American people. And he caught a lot of flack from Second Amendment supporters for what he did in his past administration. A lot. Now, here's the thing. If he's just doing it for populist reasons, I guess I'll take it. Look, if you're trying to have everybody pass every purity test that you have, you're never going to find anybody. For all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. So if you're looking for perfect, you'll never find it. But here's the thing. Even if Trump doesn't believe any of this pro 2A stuff, but he's only doing it because Don Jr. is telling him to, because he knows he's here on a mandate from the American people. At the end of the day, if he's removing gun restrictions, if he's taking some of the jackboot of the government off of our necks, I'll still take it as a victory, regardless of why he's doing it. Now, when he meets his maker, why he did things and his intentions and his soul, that will all be measured. Okay? It'll all be measured weight and penny pound. It'll all be figured out, not by me though, and not by any of you either. But at the end of the day, regardless of why he's doing it, the fact that he's doing it, got to give Trump props on this, major props, because this is one of the most significant things I've ever seen a president do for the Second Amendment. And you can look back through the history of this country. We've never seen a president come in and say, I'm going to undo what he did, what the previous guy did. Look, dude, I didn't decide to vote for Trump till the last minute, camera girl. Or look, gal. I'm sorry, I said dude, but you know what I mean. Look, it is what it is. I was not going to vote for Trump till the very last minute. Then I heard about a couple policies, very specific things he was going to do. And one of them I haven't even seen yet. This is going to sound really petty to some people, but some people know exactly what I mean. When he said Rand Paul was going to be part of this Doge with Elon Musk. Ron Paul. Why do I keep saying Rand? Ron Paul. I know the difference. It's just father and son both start with an R. When he said Ron Paul was going to be part of it, I said, you know what? I'm not even a Libertarian Party member at all, right? I said, that's actually enough for Trump to get my vote right there. Being very skeptical. And I'm so tired of voting for the lesser of two evils. And no one's more doggedly tired than me. And I know a lot of you know exactly what I'm talking about voting for the lesser of two evils. I knew Kamala would be the worst for the Second Amendment we've ever seen. I couldn't vote for her, but I was sick and tired. I said, no, if we could get Ron Paul anywhere near the White House, that would be the greatest thing ever. And look, Trump's only been in office for a couple weeks. All right. Has he had Ron Paul in any positions yet? No, he actually hasn't. Maybe he lied, but it's only been 2 weeks, so I can't declare that yet. But look, here's the thing. And I've been very honest. See, here's the problem, man. This is hard. And it's not really hard for me, but it's just the hard part for our overall cause. You guys realize, anytime I say anything about Trump, I get 10 people mad at me. I have 5 that get mad at me and say, you're not supporting Trump enough. And then I get 5 more that are mad at me because I'm supporting Trump too much. Look, guys, there's nobody perfect in this whole world. Trump's not Jesus. I'm not Jesus. And I don't meet any of your purity standards. Does anyone think I'm literally on here to meet somebody's purity standards? No. I'm a landscaper. This is not my career. This is not my profession. In fact, I can barely even afford to do this crap most of the time. But it's fine. It's okay. Because look, I'm not going to meet your purity standard. I'm not going to meet someone else's purity standard. But you guys understand what happens, right? A guy like me fighting for the 2A like a dog shall not be infringed. Can't even get more than 10 to 30 people to a rally. But I can get 30 people to come in at any given time and say, you're too pro-Trump. And then I'll get 30 more that says, you're not Trump enough. I get it. I don't meet your purity. It's okay. You're sorry. Well, you're not. You're sorry, not sorry, which is fine. And I'm glad you support the channel. I'll read your super chat as soon as you left it. I'm assuming you do support the channel, but maybe you don't. I have no idea. And if you do, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Not many people do, but I appreciate all of you who do. I support the 2A, but can't call it a mandate. Dude, don't apologize to me, man. But it was a mandate whether anyone likes it or not. Trump swung every single swing state, okay? I barely voted for him in the 11th hour. Here's the thing, man, with the 2A community. I just lost 10 subs because I said I barely voted for him. 5 because I barely voted for him. That wasn't Trump enough. And then 5 more because I'm telling you guys, I did vote for him. You know what I mean? It's very interesting. And it's okay, and I'm not even mad at you. It just brings up this whole sentiment where it's like, dude, it ain't my opinion. It ain't my opinion at all. Trump won on a mandate for the American people. The Senate, the United States Senate flipped a Republican. The United States House stayed Republican. Due to down ballot voting in many cases and many tough fought races, and I'm not taking anything away from the Michigan representatives because they fought hard, but let's call a spade a spade. Due to down ballot Trump voters, Michigan flipped its state House of Representatives over to Republican. The man was shot in front of everybody, live and on TV, and got back up and said, fight, fight, fight. And I'll never take that away from him. I've never seen somebody with balls that big. I mean, just imagine such a thing. Has anyone ever even heard of that in their life? Somebody literally gets shot. You have to go all the way back to what, Roosevelt? Not a lot of people get shot and just jump right up there and say, fight, fight, fight. Dude, Trump swept the nation with the biggest populist movement I've seen in a long time. And part of that has me really, really happy and excited, and I'm really looking forward to good things, and part of it has me scared too. Look, I don't care for Pam Bondi. I really don't at all. I'm worried about her being the Attorney General. She doesn't measure up to my standards at all. But here's what I do know for sure. I know that life is short. It's full of problems. Life is but a vapor. It appeareth, and it vanisheth away. And I know God's good, and I know Jesus is good, and I know through Jesus I might be saved, be able to spend eternity with God, and that's the most important thing to me. But while I'm here, I need to fight like hell and make sure, as hard as I can, as little influence as I have, to make sure we never, ever, ever become a communist country. And the only thing that's keeping us from that is the Second Amendment. Not here to be popular. I'm obviously not very good at that at all, but at the same time, it is what it is, man. This is about the Second Amendment. It's about the President of the United States. And if I say he does something good, a lot of people get mad at me. Me? I'm not in public office, and I'm never, ever going to be. But if I say he does something bad, a lot of people get mad at me. I wish I was the source of all of our Second Amendment problems, trust me. Because if I was, we'd be doing all right. I would have written an executive order a lot better than this, but I didn't write it, and I'm not the president. But I do commend him, and he's off to a good start. In developing such proposed plan of action, the Attorney General shall review, at a minimum, all presidential and agency actions from January 21st to January 25th. Now, that does say at a minimum. That doesn't mean that they can't keep going further and further and further than that. It doesn't at all. Thank you, Amy. I appreciate it. And I enjoy your avatar with the beautiful bouquet that I really like flowers. I don't know if you knew that. I'm a landscaper, and I get to enjoy lots of them when I'm outside working in the summertime. But at a minimum, they're starting off with January 21st to January 25th. I want this thing to say repeal the NFA right now. I want it to say repeal the GCA, all of it. But we get into separation of powers issues and all kinds of stuff. Presidents can't really just repeal laws. And we really don't want them to be able to be, because we do have it where the Constitution says Congress makes law. You know what I mean? Thanks for all the kind words, guys. I appreciate all of you. And I do read all of these chats on replay. So he's handling stuff with the executive branch, and that is the purview of the president, directing people that work under him in the executive branch. Because remember, they all work for all of us, right? In the end, they're not supposed to be putting forth executive orders and actions that affect people or criminalize people. This seeks to reverse that. So any presidential and agency actions, we're starting off with the first 4 years, but it does say previously at a minimum. I want to make sure we focus on that. That are purported to promote safety, but may have impinged on the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens. Law-abiding citizens can mean many things, and I could get into a whole thing on that too, but there we are. What's up, Christy? Thank you for sending this to me so quickly earlier. Rules promulgated by the Department of Justice, including by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. This is huge. From January 21st to January 25th, pertaining to firearms and or federal firearm licenses. Look, I have good friends who are FFL holders who own gun shops. In fact, I'll give you a couple quick stories. My good friend Chris from the Marksman TV channel, right here on YouTube, he came in and left a comment on my video earlier right away being like, excellent news. That's a good friend of mine that makes his livelihood being an FFL holder. I wish his business the best. I hate it that friends of mine who own gun shops have to worry every day that if one I wasn't dotted or one T wasn't crossed, that their FFL would be revoked under this Biden zero tolerance. I was also just on the phone today, literally right before the stream, with my friend Mackenzie, Supermatch GNA, out of Newport, Michigan. And has to wake up looking around every day being like, okay, did the T get crossed heavy enough on one of these forms? Because they could come after my license for literally essentially nothing. No. I know lots of good people who own gun shops, and that's a big deal that they're literally mentioning FFLs here too, because that's important. We lose all of our FFLs. Where are we going to buy guns? Now, you shouldn't need an FFL to be able to buy a gun. Trust me, that's unconstitutional. But in the place we're at right now, if they start closing down all your neighborhood gun shops, it makes it harder for you to have access to a gun. That's exactly what the Biden administration had done, making FFL revocations just soar through the roof, breaking every record you could think of on how many FFLs they revoked, making it harder for you to have access to your right to keep and bear arms, and also ruining livelihoods, damaging the economies of small towns, communities. Like this has put lots of burden and lots of strife, both against the Second Amendment, economically, socially, all these things. The gun shop's kind of like the barber shop, right? Like that's where people go and gather and talk about guns and the Second Amendment and things. And no, you shouldn't need FFLs. You shouldn't need a license or a permit to purchase. You shouldn't need a special license and have to pay the government to sell. I'm not agreeing to any of that. I'm just saying shutting down FFLs made things way more burdensome than they should be constitutionally allowed. So that was a key thing. I also have a good friend, I'm not going to say his name just because, who lost his FFL a couple years ago for paperwork technicality errors under the zero tolerance. Yep. And it breaks my heart because he's a good dude and I really, really enjoyed his shop. But yeah, so I've seen both sides of it, man. I've had friends in the business that are looking out of the corner of their eye, being like, where's the Coke bottle glasses guy with the clipboard peeking through their bushes? I mean, these people are strange people, these government people, right? Peeking through the bushes and, just remember, these feds literally, think about this. They invaded Mar-a-Lago, and it was reported they went through Melania's underwear drawer. When I say these are not good people, these are not good people. You don't want the boy with the Coke bottle glasses and a little hat pulled over his eyes with a clipboard looking outside your window. All kinds of weird stuff can happen. Make sure your dog's in order. Make sure your wife's panty drawer's in order. I mean, there's nothing off limit for these people. These people are atrocious. And it looks like this is to reel a lot of this stuff back. Also, agencies' plans, orders, and actions regarding the so-called enhanced regulatory enforcement policy pertaining to firearms and or federal firearm licensees. So this is more of the same, right? Reports. Just think about this. A Fed boy's coming in. He's going to take your guns, and then you find him in your wife's panties? Are you kidding me? Go look at this. What happened in Mar-a-Lago? I'm not making this stuff up. This is sick. These are real sick people, and reports and related documents issued by the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention. Office of Gun Violence Prevention. Like one of the most unconstitutional things of all time. the positions taken by the United States in and all ongoing and potential litigation that affects or could affect the ability of Americans to exercise their Second Amendment rights. So I wonder about these gun rights groups who are suing against a lot of these rules and regulations. And right now you've got the federal government arguing to keep these in place. Does that mean they're going to go in now and change their position? I hope that's what this means. I hope that's what this means. Like all of a sudden, instead of it being like Gun Owners of America versus the Attorney General, maybe the Attorney General is coming in now with this directive saying, no, we actually agree with the plaintiff. Whoa, you're the defendant. Yeah, the defendant now agrees with the plaintiff. And then the courts will have no choice but to say, all right, well, we rule this, that this rule is unconstitutional. It's null and void. Is that how that works? I hope so. I didn't go to law school, guys, but they literally are talking about current litigation and court proceedings, ongoing and potential litigation. If all of a sudden the government's arguing with the gun rights groups and the individual plaintiffs that are suing against the government, it sounds like we could have tons of like case closed in a good way. There's actually a lot to this executive order. It's just a start, though. Just a start, but it's a positive start, right? Agencies' classifications of firearms and ammunition. Now that's huge. I think of all kinds of things. Think about different types of ammo that they have deemed to be armor piercing and that civilians shouldn't be able to have it and all of that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. Think about different import restrictions, them classifying certain firearms as so-called ghost guns, these PMFs, certain things that aren't machine guns that they're erroneously classifying as machine guns. Maybe this affects imports. Certain things like that that we haven't been able to get anything from Russia, China, all these different countries that would definitely keep the price of ammo down, the price of guns down. I'm not a fan of buying stuff from China, but we buy everything else from China. I'd love to have some of their cheap 7.62 by 39, by the way. Russia, again, don't know anyone who lives there. Look, many fine people live in all these countries. There's tyrannical rulers and governments in almost all countries. But it sure make it nice for the price and availability if some of this stuff could get changed. This potentially opens the door for that too. I say potentially because we'll have to see how it gets promulgated. And then the processing of applications to make, manufacture, transfer, import, or export firearms. Transfer or export. Again, I don't agree we should have to apply and get permits to do any of this, but in the place we find ourselves in, making that less restrictive and less onerous is a lot less worse than what we've been dealing with for sure. All right, let me take a look at a couple of these chats that I had come in. And I appreciate you guys helping support the channel tonight. We have Shannon Kirby with the super chat says, until we can get an AG that will follow the law, we will continue to get cover-ups for Whitmer's unlawful behavior. Someone has to hold her accountable. Oh boy. Whitmer does need held accountable. And I'm going to, in a few minutes here, switch over to this Michigan stuff, talking about, I'm trying to expose something that's going on that's really not getting reported on at all, Shannon. And you probably know what I'm talking about, but I want more people to know about these 80-something bills that, in my opinion, she probably couldn't sign into law, but she did anyways, all right? But yeah, they do need to be held accountable. I agree. Thank you for the super chat. Raptor Jesus, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it, man. Says, from my cold dead hands, Charlton Heston. I do remember when he said that, and that's a good saying. I do like that. You can take my guns from my cold dead hands. And I think I said that earlier in the stream tonight myself, didn't I? Not going to help the blue helmets. I'm not going to make them coffee, guys. You know what I mean? I like the blue. See? This blue here, I like a lot. But that color blue, it's just that specific shade of blue. You know what I mean? It's not so nice. Thank you, Raptor. We have D. Pesbo with the super chat and a channel member. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And he has the Minuteman there, which is also what the GOA uses for their logo, right? And his avatar. Says, those blue helmets will make good plant holders. Actually, yeah. Maybe you could get a little tomato plant going in there and bulletproof tomato plant pot. Yeah. They should just take those helmets off and give them to us so we can use them to plant our food and then just like leave the country and never come back because we don't need the UN on our soil like whatsoever, let alone their anti-2A and gun policies. I agree. That is useful. But I'd have to spray paint over it with like another color because as much as I love blue, not that color blue. It's just this real creepy blue color that those blue helmets are. And they say like the Kevlar or whatever the heck it is nowadays, they say it's really thick and it's supposed to be. So it would make an excellent planter. The roots probably couldn't grow through it, right? Well, thank you for the super chat. Now, the implementation of this is going to be upon submission of the proposed plan of action described in Section 2 of this order, the Attorney General shall work with a domestic policy advisor to finalize the plan of action and establish a process for implementation. We're going to have to see what happens with that, right? Like the president's telling her, she reports directly to him. He can fire her instantly. He's saying, you shall give this to me. Some of you guys are worried. Will Blondie actually do it? I don't know. She like has to. That's literally what it says. We will see. This is not an end all be all. One more time, our fight for the Second Amendment is never, ever, ever going to end. But this is good news, and I'll take some good news for once. I like some good news. So yeah. Drain the swamp. You probably can't make coffee good enough for Trump supporters. Well, I am enjoying some coffee right now. There's not much left, but you can see it in there. I like tons of milk in my coffee. But it's really good, actually. So if you guys want a good deal on Blackout Coffee, check the link down there in the description. And there is a very generous coupon code you guys can use. And if you already shop there anyways, come back to the channel, use my link in the description. It does help support the channel. All right, we are going to shift gears a little bit to some of the stuff that's been going on in Michigan right around the new year. Now, some of you remember being live streaming with me. The last session, it was called, the so-called sine die of the outgoing Democrat-controlled Michigan State House of Representatives before the incoming Republican majority would take over. And we literally streamed it on here with the lovely Lori Pohutsky, right? With the lovely Lori Pohutsky, not so lovely. The not so lovely. Do you guys want me to be extra nice or not so nice? I'll be very nice. The not so lovely Lori Pohutsky up there with the gavel. Okay, you guys remember. All right. Christopher remembers. Good, good. All right. So, somebody just bought me a cup of coffee. I'll read that in a minute, man. I appreciate it. That's nice. My coffee's almost empty. I do appreciate that. And by the way, Blackout Coffee does not send me free coffee. I have an affiliate link and a coupon code. A few crumbs come to the channel, so please use my link. But this is not a sponsored ad read. They don't pay me to say anything. Only if you guys use my link. And they do not provide the channel free coffee. I promise. Like, literally not at all. I buy it just like you guys do. But I like it. And it's really good coffee. So, let me know if you guys have had it before. You might agree with me. Okay. So, sine die. The Constitution says it shall occur by noon by 1:30 p.m. on the last day of the year, January 31st. Well, at noon, I'm sorry, at noon. They come in an hour and a half late, and they do sine die. So it's supposed to happen at noon. They come in at 1:30 p.m. I don't have these things in front of me, but the point is they come in an hour and a half late. After the Constitution says they shall do it, the Michigan Constitution, and they don't. They do it late, and they don't even do a sine die resolution because there's no quorum. There's no quorum in the House. Okay, I don't have to be quite so nice. Okay, but I am being nice, okay? I just said the not-so-lovely Lori Pohutsky came in there with a couple kids, by the way, on the House floor. That's interesting. I'm just saying, nice-looking kids. Nothing wrong with the kids. But she had kids on the House floor with her. This was all on the House TV. And they did this thing, and then the session was over. I'm saying they did this thing because, in my opinion, they didn't even do a legal or proper sine die. I hear you, Brett. Not so nice. Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying. You know how it is, man. I say this jokingly because it is what it is. 2A Edu, you're too nice. You're not too nice. You like Trump too much. You don't like him enough. It's all good, though, because we're all friends at the end of the day. But I am being way more polite than I should. I will admit to that. I'll confess, I'm nicer than I should be to these people. So we're watching this, and they're going through, and it's like some of this doesn't even seem right. They were saying that this is transmitted to the governor retroactively back on January 23rd, but it was the 31st at this point, and none of it even made sense, and it was this whole, like, real quick rush job, and then the year ended. Okay. Well, there were a bunch of bills that had actually passed the Michigan House and Senate and were presumably going to be sent to the governor. Now, look, all of the Michigan House Republicans walking out, as well as one Democrat, Karen Whitsett's her name, prevented hundreds and hundreds of even further draconian Second Amendment and many other infringements on a wide array of topics from going through. But there were still a ton that had gotten through before they all did their walkout. And I am applauding the Michigan House Republicans and the one Democrat for doing what they did. It saved us more turmoil than you could possibly know. And I am going to applaud the Senate Republicans too in the Michigan Senate, which did their darndest to do a filibuster, if you will, doing things like making the Democrats read every word of every bill, getting up there talking about bills for an extremely long period of time. So the Republicans in the Senate did a lot to slow things down as well. Make no mistake. The House literally just walked out. Okay. That was huge. Nothing short of a miracle. We've never seen this stuff like in our whole life. That's how big of a deal this was. That's how much calamity there was in a good way at the end of this last Democrat controlled House session. So the House does their thing. The Senate, don't forget about them. Some of your good Republican senators who got up there and said, I request you read every word of the bill. They have the ability to do that in the Senate. Those that got up there and just talked for extremely long periods of time. They literally did like a 2-3 day session straight without sleep in the Michigan Senate because the Republicans were stalling and doing procedural things they could do. Being in the minority, they didn't have the votes to stop it that way. They were pulling tricks out of their sleeves and doing whatever they could. It was complete chaos, just completely atrocious, and yeah, all of it. Now, while all this chaos is going on, though, Governor Whitmer doesn't actually get these bills. She doesn't get the bills that had passed both chambers. Now, it says that it was to be submitted to the governor, but somebody actually has to present it to the governor, okay? Now, they can do stuff on their website and say things, but somebody somewhere has to officially courier and hand her these bills. At that time, these were bills, and I still think they are bills. I think they're dead bills, if you want my opinion. But supposedly now laws, they actually have to be put in front of her where she can put the pen to the paper. You guys get what I'm saying, right? Like, we live in a digital age where you can just look at scans of everything and everything's online, and this is great. Information's never been easier to find when it comes to this. However, you still have to, as a matter of formality and legality and constitutionality, you have to get her the bill physically, not just say that you're going to do it. You have to get it on her desk where she can literally pick up a pen and put the ink on the paper. And if she doesn't do that, then it's not a law. You guys all know that, right? But I just wanted to go through some quick basics because sometimes we just take that stuff for granted. Now, there's also, it's constitutionally law in Michigan where once the session ends, all pending bills from that session are gone. And the new legislature, the new session, because a new session just started up this January 8th. I was there with my favorite state representative, Jamie Thompson, as her guest. Awesome time, by the way. Awesome representative, by the way. We're going to talk to her more about this later. Her and her family are like so sick right now, guys. They can barely even talk or lift their heads up. So I'm praying that their family like gets better. they're hit by like this terrible flu that's going around Michigan. So God bless all of you who are going through that. It's like quite the flu, like one of the worst ones I've ever heard of. It's going all around this part of Michigan. They're so sick they can barely speak, pick their heads up. And I'm still talking to my state representative about these issues. She can't even speak. It sounds halfway between like a croak and a whisper. So she cares a lot about this. Can't talk to you guys about it. Can't talk to me much because she literally can't speak. But anyways, I was there with her on January 8th, and that's called opening day for the new session. Now, the new session is not bound by anything from the previous session. So you guys get what I'm saying? The session ends when they go into sine die on January 31st. It's over. The new session comes in this case, on the 8th, because it's like the second Tuesday, or exactly how the Constitution words it. But you guys can read if you want. But the moral of the story is this. It's a different day every time because it depends on which Tuesday it is in the month. Like I think it was the 6th of January, 2 years ago, a few weeks back, a month back, I should say, it was January 8th. I've been there the last 2 times live, like right there watching it. And then I skipped a couple years, and then I was there previously many years ago. But look, so the Democrat-controlled House and all these bills, that session ended. Just keep that in mind. The new session is not bound by what the previous session did. Governor still hadn't signed these bills. They hadn't even been presented to her. Now, as I did videos on previously, she only has 14 days measured down to the hour. So 14 days exactly to sign these or to veto them. Now, since the session's over, she basically has 14 days to sign or they do not become law. This is very clearly articulated in the Michigan Constitution. It's very clearly articulated when session ends. Well, session ends, she hasn't signed them. There's this whole area in between, which I don't consider a grace period at all. To me, these bills were dead unless if they weren't presented to her by the 31st, before they went sine die. And sine die is just Latin for without day, meaning that session will never return again. When they return, it'll be a whole new session. Sine die is a way to say we're gaveling out. We ain't coming back. A new group will come back, but we're done. And the new group's not bound by what we did. That's very important to remember. That's in the Michigan Constitution. They still weren't presented to her. Not only had she not signed them, but they weren't officially presented to her. Session's over. New session comes in. To me, it's too late to give them to her. Nobody gave them to her. Maybe there was a Democrat that was mad and didn't give them to her on purpose. Maybe they were so disorganized. Maybe they were so incompetent. Could be a bunch of different things. I'm speculating. I don't know why. But she never got them. Not only did she not get them after the session was over to sign, but she didn't even get them in many cases till after the new session had already started, till after Speaker Matt Hull gavelled in on the 8th. Literally, like some of these bills were presented to the governor after the Republicans had officially come in and taken over for the new session. Now, I believe, end of story, anything that wasn't presented to her by the 31st of January, these are dead bills and they can never be signed. Okay, and just cold stop. But to argue in the contrary, no matter what, nothing could be signed by her that was presented to her after the Republicans already took charge, because I couldn't see Speaker Matt Hull giving her bills willingly. Could you? I mean, I hope he didn't. And that brings me to my next question. Who gave the governor these bills? And when I say gave them to her, it's hard for me to believe it could have been Speaker Tate after the 31st, because he was no longer Speaker Tate. Remember Speaker, I keep mispronouncing his name again. Speaker Taint is what my viewers have said they call him. So it's pronounced many ways. None of these people can pronounce their own name, right? But as I've been corrected many times, so I believe this is the way it's pronounced. Speaker Taint, T-A-I-N-T, I think is how you spell it. I don't have it in front of me. He couldn't have given it to her after the first because there was no more Speaker Taint. You follow me? Okay. So I don't know how he gave them to her on the 8th. I don't know how anyone because the Democrats weren't in charge of the clerk's office anymore at that point. So here's a question I have, and this is where it's a call to action. I need all of you calling. all of your reps, but specifically the Republicans, Michigan House of Representatives, also your senators. I'll call all of them. You need to be part of this process, but even more specifically, your Republican senators. The Senate needs to get involved in this too, because I'm going to get into them in a minute. But if you want to focus and you only have a little bit of time, your Michigan House of Representatives, call them. Your rep, all of the reps, call all of them. The Republicans very specifically, though, the Speaker's office, okay? The Majority Floor Leader's office, Brian Posthumus, who I just had a great conversation with. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Speaker Pro Tem Rochelle Smith, who I also really like, super, super pro Second Amendment lady. She's been on the channel in the past. Look, these are the people who really, really, we need to push the ball and let them know that we're not sleeping on this. I want to know, how did the governor get these bills after Speaker Hall became the Speaker of the House? You guys follow me here? Because he's in charge of the clerk's office, the clerks of the House, as the Speaker. How, after he got the power, after he got the gavel, that's the way to word this, right? Say, how come after he got the gavel and the Democrats went sine die, how did those Democrat passed bills, how did those get to the governor? And you can be very specific, like physically, how did they get to the governor? What's the person's name that took them there? Okay, were they just carried in an envelope by Susie Q, the intern? Was it a senior staffer? Was it a representative themselves? Was it former Speaker Joe Tate? I want to know these things. I'm asking these questions. If just I ask, it's like, whatever, who's this guy? We need to get like many, many people asking. So spread this to all of your friends, family that live in Michigan. Who physically took the bills there? Now, that's the first part, to the governor. In many cases, after Hall became the Speaker, Matt Hall. Second of all, under whose authority did they take them to the governor? Under whose authority? Did Gretchen call them and say, send them to me? I give you permission to deliver them to me? I'm not saying she did that, but did she? I don't know. I haven't been able to get this answered yet. Did some staffer just look down and be like, oops, oopsie, I was playing Candy Crush too much, and I didn't read this post-dated memo here that said I was supposed to walk these down 3 weeks ago, so I'll do it right now, I guess? Is that the answer? I don't know. Did Matt Hall send them all down there? I don't know. Okay. It's hard for me to believe that the Republican Speaker of the House would send stuff to her when, in my opinion, he's in charge of the clerk's office now. But again, these are just questions to ask. How did they get to her? Too late, in my opinion, and many other smart people's opinions. How'd they get to her? And who delivered them to her? And under whose authority? That's very important. Under whose authority did these bills get delivered after the new session had already gavelled in many cases? But even other ones that got there maybe an hour or two before the opening day session, it was still 8 days after sine die. All that stuff should have expired back then. It's all over. Now, here's the other interesting part. A lot of the stuff passed without immediate effect in the Senate. So there's two arguments here. First of all, I don't think she should have been able to legally sign any of them. That's the first and foremost issue. The other issue, which shouldn't be forgotten about, and I'm going to read from an article here in just 1 minute to kind of bring all this back into a concise format. A lot of these bills say that if they don't pass with immediate effect through the Senate, everything passed with immediate effect in the House. It was just boom, 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 right? With the gavel lady, the one I just did the community post on, the not so lovely Pohutsky, we're going to call her. And that's being very, very nice. Too nice. I know. I'm too nice. I'm sorry. Not too sorry, but I'm too nice. But look, immediate effect. The Senate, though, actually voted up and down on the roll call vote on the board, as it's called, where you can see their votes. And a lot of stuff, the Senate stopped it from getting immediate effect. It says that they go into effect 91 days after sine die. I still don't want this to get forgotten about. You guys can go watch my stream where we literally showed it. We showed the last session. They did not do a legit constitutional sine die either. So if sine die never occurred, how could something go into effect 91 days after something that never occurred? I know this is making your head spin, right? I'm going to try my hardest, and I appreciate the contributions. So you guys are literally helping me physically do it, to go up to Lansing and and do this, but I'm going to try to get to Lansing in a week or two. I'm going to get there as quick as I can and sit down with one, if not hopefully two representatives and see what they have to say about it. I'm calling reps. I need more people than just me to call, though, and just ask these questions. How did these bills get to the governor after the session was over? Who did it and under whose authority? It's literally just that simple. And then ask them, of course, I'd like you to look into this, get to the bottom of this. Okay, I'm not formally making these accusations. I'm not with law enforcement. I'm not a lawyer. But in my opinion, there could be some direct breaking of the Constitution involved here. And also, from what really smart people have been telling me, there could be some criminal things going on, illegal things going on, right? We need to see this, though. I want to know. And until I can get some answers on this, I just have to guess. All right, I'm going to put a PDF up when this is over on my locals community for you guys to see. But I want to give credit to another local group here in Michigan who's been doing some hard work getting to the bottom of this. And this is Rescue Michigan. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They have a YouTube channel. They have a newsletter, which I'm signed up for. You can sign up to be a member of theirs or not, okay? And I'll tell you guys right now, I don't always agree with the way that Adam D'Angeli, look, I agree with how he does the Constitution. He's super pro 2A. I like him a lot. I don't always agree with all of his tactics, but at the end of the day, I will say this. He's been doing a good job uncovering as close as we can to the facts of this stuff. What bills, you ask? Well, this is an email I got. So check the pinned comment after this is over. I'll leave you guys a link to the Rescue Michigan site because I want to give credit to my sources. You ever notice that all these YouTubers come up with all this stuff and they never cite their sources? It's like, dude, just take 5 minutes, guys. If any of my fellow YouTube colleagues are watching, YouTubers, thank the person that gave you the scoop. If you're reading off of somebody's hard compiled work, you know what I'm saying? At least give them a little credit. And I'm going to give Adam credit for a lot of hard work. And if you're watching, Adam, dude, like we totally see eye to eye on the Constitution. I think you're a little brash sometimes, as I saw Jane Locke say. Look, you're a little brash, dude. Me and you do our own thing. We do it a little differently, but he did a good job on this. So check the pinned comment when this is over. If you guys want to read a PDF of this, I'll put it over on my locals community. So let's get into this. And I just wanted to give you guys all the philosophy behind this, because there's some really, really goofy stuff going on. Okay? Some really goofy stuff going on. And keep track of your governor's races. Crazy heathen. Dude, keep track of what you can, man. I'm doing as much as I can. I know you're doing as much as you can, but dude, dude, there's just so much going on right now. So talk amongst each other. Keep track of this crap. There's some real rotten, dark, underhanded stuff going on. All right, so this is an email that I got earlier. All right. Now, let me see if I can I make this a little bit bigger? Let me try to, hold on one second. I'm going to try to make it a little bit bigger because I know some of you said you want to see, and I want to show you. Just let me think how to do this. Because there's a lot here. There's 85 bills. And this guy, his name's Adam D'Angeli. Rescue Michigan is the outfit that he runs, and he compiled all this. And I do thank you if you're watching, Adam, because, yeah, this is a lot. All right, so I opened it in a new window. Let me go in here and see what I can do. All right, I'm going to present. I think it's the second one here. Okay, that made it bigger for you all. There you go. All right. So this is an email that I got earlier, a couple days ago. Again, credit where it's due. This is from Rescue Michigan. Dear Michigan Patriots, in an unprecedented scandal, these are his words, not mine, Gretchen Whitmer has signed 85 bills into law that were not presented to her until after the new year and therefore were dead and could not be signed into law. I agree with him on this, okay? I definitely do. And this guy keeps me very informed too. This is a good resource. Check the pinned comment when we're done. And I will leave you a link to his website. Now, this is the gun control bills that are in here. It's 3 bills, but 2 subject matters: the destruction of buyback, so-called buyback firearms. Also, that draconian MDHHS thing where they're trying to indoctrinate and re-educate your children on the safe storage of firearms. Combine that with that tip hotline. Combine it with all of this. If you see something, you say something within your home. Look, I've ranted about this. If you're new to the channel, by the way, welcome. If you've been around a while, you've seen those videos. If not, go back and watch them, man. Like, you can't even make this stuff up. But we've reported on that, so I'm going to continue. Craziness. It's no surprise that the mass media isn't covering this. I know, and that's why I'm so frustrated. I was talking to my wife earlier, and if she's watching, I love you. My wife's like awesome, by the way. She really is. My baby girl, my daughter, both of them. But I'm sitting there, and I'm like, she's like, nobody's reporting on this. I'm like, I know nobody's reporting on this. So frustrated right now. Nobody will report on this. Please, guys, do something. Nobody is reporting on this. I want to say this one more time. They won't report on it. This has never happened in the state of Michigan. They say this has probably never happened in the country. This should literally be stuff that history books are getting written about. Nobody will report on this. Just think about this. Probably, and in my opinion and other people's smart people's opinions, a governor just signed 85 bills into law that were expired. I just want to emphasize one more time. Nobody will report on it. Now, the next part, I don't know if he's right or he's wrong on. He says, but it's shocking that Republicans in Lansing have so far done nothing to challenge this abuse of power. Look, I hope that's not true. He has his sources. I have mine. I do not know. I'm not going to say Republicans are doing nothing about it. I'm not going to say that. But I don't know what they're doing, and that's not good enough for me. I need to know what the Republicans are doing about this, because Matt Hall held a few bills that he still had and was refusing to send them over to the governor, like a few of these 85, but not all 85, just a few of them. Okay? And instantly, Winnie Brinks, she's the head of the Senate, the Democrat-controlled Michigan Senate. She's suing the House Republicans right now, saying you have to send that handful of bills that you kept. So Matt Hall kept a handful of these bills and didn't send them over. And the Senate's instantly suing the Republicans. I think the Republican House of Representatives, to put it bluntly, has standing. I believe they need to find wherever they can pull it out of the funds. This is one of the few things they do need to spend our hard-earned tax dollar on. Not much. There's not much that I would agree with them spending money on. But if you can't pull some money out of your you-know-what, out of your wherever, to sue the living dog crap out of them for this, then you need to not even exist or spend any money at all. So I'm going to say for a fact, the Republicans better be fighting this right now. And they better be fighting it tooth and nail. And they better be in it to win it. Okay? So I agree with Adam on that. He's saying they're not doing anything. I don't know that that's true. They might be doing something, because in my inquiries and investigations have led me kind of to a little bit of a wall. And here's the thing. I've been told this much. This is by insiders. Yes, the Republicans are working on something. We just can't tell you what it is right now. Now, at first, I'm like, well, wait a minute. If you can't tell me what it is, then it has to be bad. But I have to pause. Not necessarily. Okay? I'm involved in some stuff behind the scenes right now, guys, that when I can finally announce it, you guys are going to be very, very happy. But I can't talk about it either. There is certain things you can't talk about because of strategy. And when it comes to legal matters or lawsuits, which I hope they have a lawsuit. I don't know for sure if they do or not, but I hope they do. Sometimes you have to keep it really quiet till you get all your ducks in a row and make your initial court pleadings, because you don't want the other side to know what your strategy is. And that makes it very, very tough. So that's why I'm telling you guys, I'm just trying to be fair with the way I report this. I'm trying to be very fair. I'm not giving the Republicans a pass at all. I'm kind of suspicious the Republicans ain't doing enough, if you want to know my inkling, but I'm not going to say I have proof they're not doing anything, because I've heard enough from people I trust that said, no, they are actually working on something. We just can't tell you anything right now. And as much as I hate it, I actually understand it. So that's why I said we're going to come back and visit this later. But this is the time right now, as we speak, that all of you need to be calling these reps, especially the Republicans, and saying, get in there. What are you doing about these bills? Are you guys suing? We demand that you sue. We demand you stop this, because this ain't right. I know the courts are liberal in Michigan. The Michigan Supreme Court's liberal. Maybe this goes to federal venue. I don't know. These lawyers make tons of money doing this. I can barely afford to keep my own truck on the road. Okay? So they're just going to have to figure out how to do it. But they better be doing something. They better be doing it in earnest. So push them, call to action, make sure they're doing something about this to push the ball. But I am not going to agree with Rescue Michigan right now and say that I know they're not doing anything, because they might be. We need to make sure they are. Does that make sense? And sometimes it just does take a little bit of time to sue. I hate this. I hate this system. Shouldn't even be having to talk about this. But you can't just say, I shall sue, and then the judge hears it the next morning, and by lunch break, you've already got your... It just doesn't work that way. Our court systems are like highly convoluted. Highly. I think some of you guys know what I'm talking about, right? So I'm not going to say the Republicans in the House are abdicating their duty. I'm not saying they're abandoning us, because I don't have that proof that they're abandoning us. I just don't know how much they're doing to help either. And it's not because I don't care. I'm trying as hard as I can to get information from you guys. I'm not able to get any information. It's very it's just there's nothing that's public knowledge yet. Okay. Now, this is the part that I do like. So let's go through this a little further. Under the Michigan Constitution, the governor has 14 days to sign a bill into law once it is presented to him. Now, it says him in the Constitution, but I guess him or her nowadays. Public Acts 191 through 275 of 2024 were signed by Gretchen Whitmer on January 16th or later, some as late as January 22nd. See, that's the ones I was talking about earlier. And I've been working on this for weeks now. This is not something that I've just thought of today. Well, you guys know. You guys know I was like, something ain't right. Back on the 31st, I was telling you something's not right. I've been working on this. And it's like so frustrating that I don't have like this video revealing everything, because the harder I work on this, the more it's harder to find information on all this. It's like super, super murky and dark, and I just know it's not good. So if she signs some as late as January 22nd, and she only has 14 days to sign, that goes right back to what I told you all earlier. Some of them she signed on the 8th, some in which I literally watched. I looked at all the journals. I looked at all of the records of the legislature website. Some were signed literally like minutes, and even in some cases an hour or more after Matt Hall took the gavel. All right. Presented to her, not signed, but presented to her. I'm sorry, presented to her. Well, how were they presented? Under the authority of the Republican speaker. I don't think Matt Hall would just hand them to her, all of them, because he kept a whole handful of them himself and said, I ain't sending these to you. Who took them there? And under whose authority did that person take them there? To the governor. That's what we need to know. And I'm talking physically, pen to paper, give it to her, right? And then she signed some of these as late as January 22nd. How's that possible? The session ended the 31st of January. The governor shall sign within 14 days. You follow me? Now it's the 22nd. This is like 23 days later. This shouldn't be possible. These bills should be dead. Even the ones she signed on January 16th should be dead. The new legislature is not bound by the old legislature. All of the bills that are in the hopper, all the bills that are whatever, those are gone when the new legislature, when the old legislature ends. And the new legislature does not have to keep progressing bills that were at a certain point along the line in the previous. Does that make sense? I hope I'm still live right now. I haven't seen any chats in a while. I hope I'm not the only person that's concerned with this. Let's see here. Therefore, this article continues, they could not have been presented to the governor until after the new year began and the session was over. Okay, I'm clear. Thanks, guys, for letting me know. Either YouTube held it up or just I'm the only one interested in this. All right. But I hope you guys are, because this is really weird. All right. So, therefore, they could have not been presented to the governor until after the new year began and the session was over. I agree with him on that. It's not right. There is an unanswered question as to who exactly presented these 85 bills to Gretchen Whitmer. And this is the question I've been asking for a month now, over a month, and under whose authority. The legislature's website lists many of them as having been presented on January 8th, the day that Matt Hall was officially elected House Speaker. But more fundamentally, it should not matter because those bills were not presented to Gretchen Whitmer until long after the legislature adjourned for the term. Yeah, random guy. That's exactly what we need to ask. I'm going to share the link to their website in the pinned comment when the stream's over. So go look in the comments, okay? And then just in case you guys can't find this on his website, I'm going to make a PDF of it and put it on my locals community when the stream's over. These bills cover a huge number of policy topics. Everything from imposing burdens on charter schools to raising hotel taxes, from punishing, quote, hate crimes to mandating the destruction of perfectly good firearms, even more Second Amendment things than that, as we've discussed earlier. These bills, there is even a new law to allow an X sex designation on birth certificates. The legislature's website claims it was presented to the governor on January 8th. So keep in mind, this isn't when she signed it. She signed it 2 weeks after that, but it was presented to her. This is so unconstitutional, in my opinion. I can't even make sense of this. January 8th at 12:46 p.m., moments after Matt Hall was officially elected the House Speaker. So at that point, not only had the old session died, that was the 31st, all these bills should have been DOA, dead, expired then. But even if you had some other convoluted argument, certainly they couldn't be delivered while you had a new Speaker of the House. See the full list at the bottom of this email. And then he goes on to say, incredibly, Republicans in both the House and Senate have said nothing about this. And one lawmaker reportedly hadn't even heard about this. I don't know. I can't say they're saying nothing. They're talking to me about it as much as they can, as much as they know. But yeah, there is a problem right now. I know legislators that don't know what's going on. Now, there could be legal strategy. And if they're in it to win it, great. So I'm not going to go quite as far as Adam and say that, okay, I'm not doing this just because I know how this stuff works. Again, I'm involved in stuff behind the scenes that, and trust me, I'm not being that guy. But you guys don't want me to tell you about it right now. We need to wait till it gets further down the road, and then we come out and say, look, bam, this is what we're doing. This is how some of these things have to work. So if they're just working on it right now and they're fighting it tooth and nail, they just can't tell us, because when they tell us, the other side finds out, and you don't give your game plan away to your enemy before kickoff, right? So Chiefs, Eagles, the Chiefs aren't going to say, here's our opening drive we're going to do. They don't publish that on the internet the day before the game. Loose analogy, but so I'm trying to be patient. It's so hard to be patient because this is BS, but I'm going to be patient a little longer. So I'm not going to say that they're doing nothing. I'm just telling you, I don't know anything. But I'm trying to find. And mainly I want to make all of you aware. So you can all get a hold of your representatives, your senators, because your senators need to get involved too. I was just saying, this is the House, but this is the Senate too. So both, but really the Republicans are our only chance to right this ship right now. The Democrats aren't going to right this ship no matter what. And I hope the Republicans will. I really do. I just don't accuse people of things until I know they did something wrong. And I'm hoping that they're working on this. Okay. And for all the Republican legislators watching, I hope you're working on this. If come to find out later they never did anything, yeah, they're all going to get called out here. And it's not going to be so nice. So hopefully they're working on this. And he's saying that's why tomorrow you must call your Republican lawmakers. Yeah. The Democrats are suing the Republicans right now because Matt Hall is holding on to a handful of bills that he's looking at that he believes or has reason to believe he might not be able to pass or doesn't want to pass. I don't want to speak for him, however it's worded, to the governor. They're suing over that. But the Democrats are louder and more flamboyant about things than Republicans. Okay, he talks about the rest about what his stream was going to be about. Here's the bills right here. Look at all these. I'll scroll a little bit slowly. But I'm going to leave a link to his website. If I can't leave you guys a link to an email, right? So I'll leave a link to the website in the pinned comment. If I can find this document there, you'll get it there. If not, I'll put it on my locals as a PDF so you can at least read it. Sound fair enough? Because I didn't compile all these laws in a list. He did. I've been onto this, though, the whole time. Like, I've known about this. I was talking to people about this literally on New Year's Eve. You can ask my favorite state representative, Jamie Thompson. She knows because she was on the phone call with me. So you guys want to talk about this really bothering me and me really looking into this? Yes, I was on the phone with my state representative on New Year's Eve over this. Not a lot of state representatives take calls on New Year's Eve. That's why I'm definitely giving her some kudos there. Because normally you ain't going to get a hold of anyone like that on New Year's Eve, but she took the call and then called somebody else, okay, kind of deal. Like, she was on it that quick. I mean, there's just all this stuff. We'll go through a little bit here. I mean, there's the charter school stuff. There's just so much here, and they're only reading these bills by their title, so there's just so much more. I mean, allow sex designation on birth certificates, allow changing names without fingerprinting. I mean, it's like, this is real goofy stuff, but the list just goes on, man. Like, this is all stuff that I think in any smart person's opinion that's like read the Constitution, you know what I mean? Like these should have been dead. I don't know how these were signed. I don't think these should have been signed. Wow. School uniforms. New felonies for extortions of different types. Yeah, destroying the guns. Eliminate statute of limitations on certain allegations. Mandate health coverage for community violence prevention services employees. Yeah. Mandate schools create behavioral threat assessment and management teams. Lots of stuff. I mean, it's like 85 different bills, right? This has all been so-called signed into law. A lot of this goes into effect 91 days after sine die. And it seems like a month ago now, but it was an hour ago. This is just how convoluted all this is. I didn't see a real legitimate constitutional sine die happen. The Constitution literally sets the time of day for sine die. They didn't even start the session until an hour and a half later. They did not have a sine die resolution. It says in the Constitution that the House and Senate have to have a resolution. The Senate put forth a resolution. The House did not. The House didn't even have a quorum. I don't even know. This is how crazy this. I don't even know if the last session even ended. We might actually literally be in the last session still. I know most Republicans wouldn't want to hear that, but no, this is just how crazy this is. We might still be in the last session as far as I know. but you can't be because it says it shall end on January 31st. A new speaker's been gavelled in, but it doesn't just say like, oh, you should just end it however you want. The Constitution has very, very specific parameters in which you shall end the session. And this is in the Michigan Constitution, the supreme law of Michigan when it comes to how all of these things have to work. Sine die never happened according to the Constitution. I'm like, not even close. This isn't me splitting hairs here. This is like they didn't do it the right time of day, because there's certain things that are so specific in the Michigan Constitution. They literally tell you like the exact time of day you have to have declared sine die. They tell you have to have a resolution. You would have to have a quorum of the House before you could even vote on said resolution. I saw Lori Pohutsky, a couple kids. I'm not bringing the kids into it because they're probably good kids, but I just saw kids on the House floor. This is public knowledge. If you don't want people to know, don't bring your kids into a public chamber. But there were a couple kids on the House floor. Whatever. Lori Pohutsky, I don't know if they're her kids or not. I have no idea. They were just kind of around her. And then there were two other Democrat reps there, and that was it. That's all I saw. I saw like 3 legislators there during this so-called sine die. She didn't even say, she just said the House will stand adjourned without day. And she hit the gavel. And then the clerks came up there and read in all of these bills, but they weren't even reading them in for the 31st. They were saying it will be presented to the governor on January 23rd, so it will be prospectively with a retroactive date. Okay. If you guys can actually follow what I'm saying here, you see how corrupt it is. But here's the crazy part. If you can't follow what I'm saying because it's that crazy, that shows you even more how messed up all of this is. Literally. I don't know. But it just doesn't seem right, and I have no idea how the governor actually supposedly signed these into law. There's so many reasons why. And I truly believe, look, we're still friends, but all my Republican friends, and including all my Republican legislative friends, I think we might still be in the last session right now. We might be, but we can't be though, right? Like we can't be because we had elections and the new legislature got voted in. So that can't be true though, but the last session actually never legally ended though. It declares when the session must end, how it may end it. The Constitution does. It declares when and how the new session shall start. The Constitution doesn't have a provision for it. Well, okay, but in case you don't follow me, it doesn't have this paragraph, okay? Because it doesn't need it, because it says you shall, not maybe, probably, please, maybe, think of. No, you shall do sine die like this. There is no extra provision that says, well, in case you ignore us, here's what we do next for plan B. There is no plan B. When you don't have a constitution on the state level, you no longer have a state. When you don't have a constitution for a country, you no longer have a country. That's why I say it all the time. Like, what country do I live in? I don't know, actually. Because in the United States of America, the supreme law of the land says shall not be infringed. And it's the supreme law of the land. And nothing could ever question the Constitution. All lawmakers are subservient to the Constitution. All judges are subservient to the Constitution, and so is the president and everyone that takes an oath to it. Same thing on the state level. All Michigan legislators are subservient to the Constitution, meaning they serve it. They serve we the people, and they take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution. A legislator, via the will of the people, has to work under the Constitution. A judge or the Supreme Court or any of them have to operate under the Constitution. The governor has to operate under the Constitution. When they don't do it, I guess we don't have a Constitution anymore. And if we don't have a Constitution, how do we even have a state anymore? And where am I? And what's going on? Because when did these laws go into effect that she signed that I believe were stale and that they had expired and she couldn't sign? Some of them say they go into effect 91 days after sine die. But we had no lawful sine die. So can they never go into effect? Shouldn't even matter, because they should have never been able to be signed because they died before they were presented to her. That's my opinion on all of this. And it's just like completely nuts. So what happens? Real quick question for you all. And then I'm going to read some chats here. If it says the session shall end in this way, and then assuming that happened because it's a mandate, it's not optional, then the new session comes in and there's all this. What happens if it doesn't? Are you still in the last session? I could see where I'm part of me is kind of like, yeah, I guess we're still in the last session and the Democrats still control the House. But that can't be true, though, because we had elections and the Republicans took over the Michigan House and they were already there and they've already voted on Speaker. They voted on the other leadership. They already have committees. So clearly it's impossible that we are still in the last session. So I guess we're like not in the last session anymore. That's obvious, right? Can someone help me with this? But the last session never legally ended. And the bills didn't get sent to the governor before the session that never legally ended. And also didn't send many of these bills to the governor till the new session had already started. And there was a new Speaker of the House. So who sent them there? And under what authority did they send them there? How did she get them on her desk where she could put the pen to the paper? Because we saw stuff signed into law on January 22nd. And you only have 14 days to sign. But if you don't follow the Constitution with this, would you follow it with that? But I'll tell you what, if you guys don't follow the law, it's going to be a tough row to hoe. You're going to find yourself locked up, financially ruined, publicly shamed. You can find yourself in a cage, getting treated like an animal or worse than an animal. Usually worse. Oh boy, you don't follow it, you're going to be in big, big trouble, aren't you? Look, just something's rotten in Denmark here, and this ain't right. It ain't right. Now, again, I don't know the answer. All of this. And I don't have the answer. And I hope that's not me being incompetent, but I'm just being honest with you. I'm not going to make up anything. Other people may know things I don't know. I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure to say the Republicans aren't working on it, so I'm not going to say that. But I can't tell you how hard they are working on it because I don't know what they're doing either. But we need to find out. So will you please all do this if you live in the state of Michigan? Will you call your reps, senators? Each of you only have one rep and one senator. I'm saying plural because there's a lot of you. Will you each call your rep and senator and ask them to A, look into this, and B, we need answers, and C, like fight to overturn all these laws because they shouldn't have been signed in the beginning. Now, maybe I'm not reading the Constitution right. It's possible. It's possible. But I at least need some answers, and I need to know that people are thoroughly investigating this, advocating for it. I hope they're suing for it, like suing right now. If they're not suing yet, hopefully they're writing all their briefs right now. I have no idea if they are or not. Okay, I don't. And the fact that I don't know does not necessarily yet mean it's a bad thing. It could be because of how smart the House Republicans are is why they can't tell anybody. And I want you guys to remember that. You don't tell your enemy what your plan is before you execute it. So please remember what I'm telling you. Just because we don't yet know their plan does not necessarily mean a bad thing. But there's going to be a certain amount of time that's going to go by. I can't tell you an exact date. But if it's like 6 months or a year from now and nothing's come out, well, certainly then at that point, it's like, yeah, you didn't do anything. But right now, there's still time to do something. They may be doing it. They may not be. So please advocate. Tell your friends and family, call. Say there's 85 bills. I'll leave a link in the pinned comment to Rescue Michigan. I'll try to link you right over to this document I'm reading from. If I can't, I'll put a PDF of it up on my local. Sound fair enough? I mean, it's just like, I want you guys to know, okay? And that's very important. And whether you guys are important people or not is all up to you. If you do nothing, evil's going to prevail. If you're willing to talk. This is all about discourse. If you're willing to talk to your friends, talk to your family. That stuff actually matters. And I'm really here to try to encourage all of you. We started off with, look, it's a good start what Trump did. Some good news for once. Very leery of Bondi. I'm still leery of Trump. Yeah. But this is good. Like, I'm happy. I really am about that today. I've never seen a president do this yet. That's good. So we want to be happy. It's not even negative energy. Dude, just have conversations with people. That's all I'm telling you. We have to talk. We can't just have our head up our water in a hole. Look, you guys can sue. Organizations can sue. I see my friend Josh Powell in here. Yeah, citizens can sue too. So if anyone has some money, I have lawyers. Please, citizens can sue. Some organizations you may be members of can sue. Certain consortiums of businesses can get together and sue. Yes, thank you for reminding me of that, Josh. Yeah, I'm putting it on the government to be suing the government here, which I think that is one of the rare instances where I do want the Republicans. They must have some somewhere. That's just my guess. I want the Republicans suing the governor over this. I really do. But other than that, I don't like them spending 99% of the money they spend. But yeah, people can sue. Organizations can sue. Businesses can sue. Okay. Too Tall Sale with a super chat and a channel member. Well, thank you. I appreciate it, man. He says, I'll buy you a cup of coffee. Well, thank you. This one's almost gone. I'm going to jump off in just a minute, guys. I had fun hanging with you tonight. Like, I get all passionate when I'm reading this stuff about these 85 bills and stuff, because this is literally just like, it's literally insane, right? But I'm having a pretty good night. I hope all of you guys did too. I'm hoping when I get to reread all the chat here on replay and then all of your comments, shout out to the replay crew that comes in and watches throughout the weekend, or sometimes even weeks or months later. Well, months later will be too late, but hopefully you guys can chime in and let me know that you're kind of fired up to be doing some of your investigating and getting a hold of your reps, Say, dude, we need to know about these bills. Like, what's the deal? And we'll find out some information hopefully soon. But thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. And I'm almost out of coffee. I mean, I've got more in the fridge over there. But quick question, just for an aside here. How many of you like to keep your coffee in the fridge, or better yet, even the freezer? Is there something to that? Now, I wouldn't keep it in the freezer forever because it could get freezer burn. But I think that it actually keeps coffee more fresh if you keep it cold. Let me know. Maybe I'm nuts. You guys can totally rip on me all you want for this. Like, I'm perfectly fair game. Say 2AE to you. You're nuts. Oh my gosh. Like, look. Make sure you guys remember to give me a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't. I'll probably lose 5 subs over keeping my coffee in the freezer or fridge, but that's okay though, because they'll be back. Like, even the ones that got mad at me earlier when I went off about I'm either too pro-Trump or not Trump enough. All that's true, by the way. But, they'll be back too. We're all still friends. The person's chat that I read, dude, like, I still love that person to death. We're still friends too, trust me. But my point is make sure you hit the thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. Click on all my links to help the channel, because I probably just lost 5 subs, which is okay because they'll be back, because I said I keep my coffee in the freezer and fridge. Does anyone else? I think it makes it more fresh. I mean, I do like some fresh coffee. Random guy just became a YouTube channel member. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. And I have a video that I'm going to be posting to supporters soon. And if anyone in the mood for a piano video, I've posted a couple before for supporters. Some of you know what I mean. Thank you for becoming a channel member. And there he is. Josh Powell gifted 5 2A EDU memberships. So make sure you guys that got those, thank Josh, because now you're in the super ultra duper cool kids inside club. You're now a 2A EDU insider. 5 of you are. Don't worry, we don't have blue helmets and we don't have secret meetings, and like the shop's like super well lit, and but you're still in like a secret society too. So thank you for gifting those memberships, Josh. I really appreciate the support, and I'm looking forward to hanging out with you again soon. Okay, come on. Does anyone put it in the fridge? Okay, hold on a minute now. Dale buys single serve in bulk. Hey, they've got the K cups over, or the not K cup, but I think that's copyrighted. They have the cups over on Blackout Coffee. Links in the description. How you doing, J-Lock? How's it going, darling? J-Lock's a good one. Isn't she crazy, heathen? Look at these two right next to each other in the chat. She's a good one, isn't she, heathen? Right, Phil? Phil and Jane Locke, side by side. Oh, man, these are good people in here tonight. Wow. Okay. Jeremy, what's happening, Jeremy? Would you put your coffee in the fridge there? Jeremy, I don't think he would. I don't think he does. Hey, he's a hot cocoa guy. No, a little hot cocoa is good in the winter, for sure. Okay, hold on a minute. Does anyone have my back? We're going to jump off in 2 minutes here. I just have to, of all the stuff we talked about tonight, nothing important, right? Nothing important. The most important thing is I have to know if I'm the only one that thinks the coffee stays better. Hey there, Pillbox. What's happening, man? Now, I like to see who's in the chat at the end. Come on, guys. That whole coffee thing's just a ruse to get some of you to come out and say hi. What's up, Pillbox? Bill Alexander, what's happening, man? You knew what I meant, right, Bill? When I said earlier, I'm not look at Lori DeVries. I said earlier, she's a nice woman. She is. I like Lori a lot. And then, right, Bill, I said, now Mateo, I said, he's a nice, and I just stopped. I'm like, well, he's a Marine. He's not necessarily too nice, but he's actually really nice. Right, Bill? Explain this to the people. No, you don't have to. But Bill's a Marine, and that's why I'm kind of laughing here because, man, I'm not a Marine, guys. I'm not a veteran at all. But, man, I've had so many family members that were pretty thick with family members that are Marine Corps veterans, were veterans. A lot of them have passed. And my old boss is a Marine. And, man, like Mateo. And, dude, shout out to the Marines. Shout out to all the veterans, by the way, in the chat. All of you. I'm just picking on Marines a little bit because, well, you know Mateo. And he's a good friend of the channel. I said, Mateo, he's a Marine, so he's not so nice, but I still like him a lot, though. It's one of those things. You like him a lot, but they're not nice necessarily. They're kind of mean, but in a very nice way. Does that make sense? Okay. Keep my ammo in the fridge and freezer. All right. Hey, dude, keep ammo, period. That's the moral of the story, guys. Buy more ammo right now. Okay, hold on a minute, Gort. What's this? Ooh, what's this? I hope you guys enjoyed the stream tonight. Don't mind if is it okay? I just want to say hi to a few good people on the way out. He says the coffee experts say not to keep ground coffee in the fridge. Man, whew. You guys know the saying, right? Like if you live in Michigan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not like a real refined guy. You guys ever heard of the term Michigan redneck? I thought I was moving up in the world, though. Has anyone heard of it? This is a good thing, though. Has anyone heard of it? It's called Michigan rednecks and hillbillies, even though we don't even have hills around here. Up north they do, though. But I thought I finally moved up into the upper echelon. I thought I was going to sit there with a doily, and I'd walk up and kind of with my pinky in the air, right, ladies and gentlemen, today I got my coffee from the fridge and act like a little light in the loafers, like a lot of the 2A influencers are lately. But I'm screwing up. I didn't pass what dang it. This guy isn't good at anything you guys are thinking. All right, don't listen to what I said. Coffee experts would not agree. Do not put your coffee in the fridge or freezer. I knew I was going to fail. You know what I mean? What's up, Seth? How you doing, man? Dude, I found out about some more weird stuff going on with maybe a county sheriff's department, FFLs. I never stop with this stuff. I have more stuff I'm working on, okay? There you go. That's what I was trying to say, Bill. Thank you, sir. There you go. Read what? Dude, that's a nice bike, by the way. Does anyone like Bill's bike? Look at that thing, man. That's a nice bike. That's a nice bike. I almost like that as much as Crazy Heathen's old Explorer. Nah, I think I like the bike a little more than your Explorer Heathen, actually. But that red plow truck in the back, I'm talking about a video. But He says, Marines can be your best friend or your worst enemy. There you go. Nailed it. All right. I don't want to mess with these Marines any longer because I'll rib them a little bit. They can take it, but not too much. I don't want to do too much because I don't want to get beat up on the way out of here. John Q. Public, what's happening, man? Thanks for the super chat. He says, Texan historical tradition of firearm regulation. Yeah, there is like no historical tradition, and the left is trying as hard as they can to find historical traditions, but they're not reading them honestly. They're not reading some of the founding laws genuinely, because there were actually laws that used to require everybody, require all militia-aged men, because remember the Second Amendment, the shall not be infringed part, it's so sexy and it's awesome, and like we take nothing from it, but so many people don't want to think about the first part, right? Right, John Q. Public? I think a lot of you know what I mean. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. There was a time where if you were between the ages of 18 and 45, you could get in big trouble if you did not have a well-working firearm. That's what well-regulated meant back in the founding era. It didn't mean regulations and speed bumps and pitfalls and onerous draconian legislation. No. Regulated means at the ready. It means a militia that's worth a crap if you really want to boil it down. Okay? Can you muster up the militiamen that you need? And when you go to get business done, can you take care of business? Can you aim? Are you a good shot? Can you follow the chain of command? Can you march properly? Can you fall in and out of the ranks? I mean, they used to fight way different back then. I don't know that nowadays anybody fights in ranks anymore, but I'm going back to the tradition. It's true. You could get in big trouble if you were 18 to 45. Am I correct, guys? I have no notes in front of me, but that's how I remember it. The initial 1792, right? Militia Act. You had to be ready to report, and you had to be armed. That would actually probably be a good law to have today. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat. Jeff Foss, what's happening, man? How you doing? Thank you for the generous super chat. And he says, dude, keep up the great work. Well, you're welcome. And man, a lot of you guys probably know John Foss, but those of you who are new, this guy was like big time. He started the Michigan for 2A sanctuary counties, that Facebook page, and the whole movement that was huge, guys. There was like hundreds of thousands of people on there. And then, of course, Facebook came in and just nuked the crap out of it. But man, Jeff's been a fighter for the 2A in this state for a long time. And a lot of you guys talk about, the 2A sanctuary counties movement that kind of swept through Michigan a few years back. And man, Jeff's been doing a lot for a long time. So good to see you, man. But that just shows you how this censorship can be sometimes on places like Facebook. That's why go join my locals and X and places like that, guys. Because, dude, he literally had Myriad Social. I'd like to see more of you guys on Myriad Social. That's censorship proof. Like literally on the blockchain, no centralized Microsoft and all that. They don't have that. But look, this guy's Facebook group, right? Literally was up to like, I don't remember how many hundreds of thousands of people were on there. And it was a huge movement. I'd go in there and we'd talk and everybody was all riled up. This is back in 2020 in a good way. And just poof, it was just gone. So nice to see you, Jeff. Vince Metzger, what's happening, Vince? Nice to see you, man. Thanks for the super chat. He says, keep doing what you're doing too. You inspire all of us. Well, thank you. Thank you, man. And I'm pretty sure you don't even live in Michigan, right? Like a lot of you guys don't. But just remember, this stuff affects all of us. And I'm trying to inspire all of you. Just get involved. For all of you that aren't going to be able to call your Michigan rep about this particular, how did the governor sign these bills issue, I hope I'm getting your mind thinking and your gears are turning and you have something good that you can advocate for in your state and in your hometown. And that's what we need, man, because we the people, the government is supposed to operate at the consent of the governed. Period. End of story. And if we do nothing, we consent. We consent. Because remember, the only reason the government is allowed to exist at all is to protect your natural God-given rights that were endowed by your creator. And whenever a country becomes contrary to this, when a country goes from, look, the only reason the government's supposed to exist at all is to protect your natural and God-given rights. God meaning whatever you believe created you and whatever you believe is going to take you away. I hope all of you have some, thought of that. It might be different for some of us, but that's where rights come from. The only reason the government is supposed to exist is to protect those natural rights. These are the laws of nature, and of nature's God, is what Thomas Jefferson said literally. But when the government becomes contrary to that, when they start trying to deprive you of your rights, where their main focus is to deprive you, it's not only your right, but it's your duty to abolish that government, to institute a new government that to you will seem most likely to affect your safety and happiness. I paraphrase, but that's what the Declaration of Independence says. And a right's one thing, but a duty's another. It's not only your right, but it is your duty to abolish a tyrannical government. And here's what's interesting. I'm going to leave you guys on this. It's just a thought exercise. It's not me being sinister. It's just something that's true. And I want you to think about it because I think most of you get it, but maybe we should have more conversations with our family and friends about these things. We talk about it's a dereliction of duty when a public servant, somebody who's elected to an office, when they violate their oath and they don't do anything and they become contrary to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, we give them all kinds of heck, and we should. But we got to motivate ourselves and kick ourselves in the butt too, because it is our right and it is our duty to abolish a tyrannical government. So as much as these oath breakers aren't following their oaths, we're actually abdicating our duty too. And we're actually not following the duty that's mandated to us as American citizens. Because it doesn't say in the Declaration of Independence that a tyrannical government shall correct itself. No, it's the right of the people. It's your right and it's your duty to abolish that government and to institute a government that to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. So just remember that. And I know it sounds like a somber thing, but I don't even mean it as that. Just remind your friends that, dude, look, we have a lot more power than we give ourselves credit for. And it is our right. And by the way, really not even optional, our duty to get the jackboot of the federal government off of our necks. And that starts in your hometowns. That's what the founding fathers did. They talked in the taverns. They talked among themselves. They talked in the woods. And they literally created a constitution with a Bill of Rights and a grand experiment in self-governance. So if you want that, you have to kind of do something. I know a lot of you are. And if you're not doing so much, I'm trying to encourage you to. But remind a lot of your friends that just sit back and they're like, well, the government better fix this mess. Trump better fix this mess. And look, Trump better do the stuff he promised to do. We'll see. He did pretty good with this executive order today. I ain't going to lie. But really, we need to do something. We need to get involved. And if there's nobody good in your area, run for local office yourself. School boards matter. Actually, a lot. Your township offices, your county offices, your state level, all of that kind of stuff. It all matters at the end of the day. And the founding fathers worked on all of it very diplomatically, very politely for decades and decades. Before 1775, shot heard around the world, Lexington, Concord. And I'd like to see people start advocating and at least making calls, things like that, trying to push the ball, get stuff going in your hometown, in your state. Ultimately, like I said earlier, make it where it's a mandate from the people all the way up to the top, a mandate that the Second Amendment will be respected and it will be followed. So hopefully that encourages all of you. And let me know what you guys are doing to help to protect and defend the Second Amendment. And I do mean that with absolute encouragement. So, look, it sounds like something so little, but if that's what you need to do to get your head in the right space, just call your Michigan representative this week or email them tonight or whatever and start asking them about these 85 bills. If you have a good pro Second Amendment representative or senator in Michigan, get in there and say, hey, I want to see constitutional carry. I want to see these whole permits gone. Just do something and it'll make you feel good about yourselves. I want you guys to feel good about yourselves. So I am probably going to have to go salt again here tomorrow night. I've been out salting like 3 times this week, but I've got the wheels back on my truck, as the saying goes, and I literally need to like replace like a foot of protective wire loom that I can drive it without it. But basically I need to do like 5 more minutes worth of work on my truck that I've been working on for a couple weeks and take it for a test drive. But I did test run it. So there you guys go. All right. Nice to see all of you. And you're welcome, Grizzly, man. Nice to see you. All right, guys. I'm out of here. Thanks for watching and have a good one.